Hi, I'm Jeff Schwartz of Schwartz Performance, and this is our September 2017 update. Let's check out what we got going on. We've got a CUDA here that we're installing a Schwartz G-Machine chassis in. We've got a giant Hemi engine here and a Rossler transmission. It's also getting a Pro Charger, somewhere around 1,500 horsepower. Pretty crazy, huh? Back here, Eric is adjusting the four-link suspension, centering everything up and getting some preliminary adjustments made before we send this to the customer, and he's going to finish building it himself. This is that 67 Ford Custom 500 that you saw a while back. We've got the Coyote engine permanently installed in here. We've got all our coolant pipes hooked up. The Tremec T56 Magnum 6-speed. We've got Willwood brakes on here. Ford 9-inch with all new internals. And this thing was quite a lot more work than what we had planned on. So getting ready to fire it up and charge the air conditioning, and should be on the road real quick. On the inside of this 67 Ford Custom 500, we've installed a vintage air control panel right underneath the dash there with the round knobs on it. And then we've got a small gauge panel there. This car didn't have full instrumentation, so back in the day, hot rodders would put a small gauge panel under the dash like we've done here. And we didn't want to cut up the car since it's a nice original car, so rather than cut things in the dash, we actually put the vintage air controls right underneath there. And we've mounted some AC vents underneath the dash as well. This was a non-air car, and we're putting vintage air in it, obviously. So we've got the radio in there, which has Bluetooth capability and fits into the stock hole. And like I said, we should be wrapping it up here pretty quick. This 924 GTS replica is coming along really well. It's all painted now, and we're buttoning up the engine bay, just assembling all the final little bits and pieces there to run the thing. And we're test fitting all the interior panels that were fabbed out of metal prior to covering them with leather. So everything's got to be tweaked a little bit, allow a little extra room for the leather to be wrapped around it and the padding and so forth. So we've got to do a few final adjustments there. We'll be running this up to the engine builder, TPIS in Minnesota, for the first startup and the dyno tuning. On this Ford F3 pickup, we finished fabricating the manifolds for this Coyote engine, and we still have to do the exhaust system yet, final fit the steering column, and a few more bits and pieces prior to doing final body work and paint. Our chassis production is still rolling along, and we're getting caught up a little more each day. On this 69 Super Bee, we finished up the final welding we had to do on the bottom, and we're getting ready to spray some primer. We've got a color picked out for it. It's a dark green metallic, and we will be tinting bed liner and doing the bottom with a tinted bed liner for durability. And this car is going to be driven, so we won't be getting stone chips and things like that on the bottom of the car. So should be a real good look and very durable. It's one of our standard processes we use most times. We've done a nice firewall on this, as well as inner fender panels, so should be a pretty nice ride. Inside our sanding tent, we've got this 53 Chevy pickup, and as you can see, we're doing body work on it, and we'll be spraying this with polyester real soon, and then do the final body work and paint job. This 56 Pontiac Safari wagon, we've got these late model Mustang seats all bolted in place and fitting really good. Dakota's making us a custom gauge cluster, and we recently just sent them back the chromed bezels so they can do the final fitment on that prior to sending it to us. We've got a drive shaft in place, and we've got to double check the clearance on that to make sure it clears the remnants of the tunnel through its full suspension travel. We've already mocked up the cooling system, and we should be pretty close to doing the exhaust system, and then we'll have to pull the chassis out one more time for powder coating. This is that other 3100 Chevy truck that you saw a while back, and we've completed fab of the headers on this, and we've got the exhaust system tacked all the way back to the rear axle. We're waiting for the custom gas tank to arrive, and then we'll be finishing up the exhaust system. We want to make sure that everything clears properly So we got to wait for the gas tank to get here. And should be wrapping this up pretty quick, and then this is going to be completed by its owner. If you're going to the expense and trouble of building a complete Resto-Mod project car, please do your homework and check references. It's very easy to do. Ask the shop for references of people that they've done before. Go to car shows and ask around, things like that. Many times we get cars in here that have been at other shops and had inferior work done where we have to correct that. In this case, the customer bought a chassis, it went to another shop, they mini tubbed it, but not wide enough to accommodate the tires that the customer specified, nor did the chassis get installed correctly, so the mounting plates weren't welded to the floor properly, and it could fall apart on you. So do yourself a favor, check references. If you find anything bad, talk to the shop about it, hear their side of the story, and make your best judgment. As you can see, we've wrapped up this 66 GTO. Last month we took it to the Indian Uprising Pontiac show in St. Charles, Illinois, and we ended up getting a first place award for this car. This has one-off billet wheels that we had made for it that mimic the Rally 1 Pontiac wheels, although these are 19 inches instead of 14 inches. And this has the tri-power EFI on it that I gotta say runs outstanding. It's so responsive and torquey, it's amazing. And this 389 has a stroker kit in it as well, so it's a little more than 389 cubes, but drives awesome. The ride quality is exceptional. The interior, you'll see we did a factory style stitch pattern, so it has the factory flavor, but we've got front seats with a little more bolstering. So great car, and I love driving this. The 66 GTO should be heading to its owner in Kansas real soon, and that's all we have for this month. Stay tuned.